Welcome to Make Your Remarkable, the podcast where banking meets inspiration. Here, we share stories that spark new ideas, open doors, and remind us what's possible when passion meets purpose. Each week, you'll hear from remarkable guests, leaders, dreamers, doers, and difference makers, who bring fresh perspectives on leadership and culture, community connections, and the path to financial success. Wherever you are on your journey, their stories will encourage you to think bigger, live bolder, and make your own remarkable. So let's dive in. It's time to make your remarkable.
Well, I'm Neil Stevens, and today we have the privilege of welcoming one of the most exciting young leaders in college baseball. A guy whose talent, whose work ethic, and attitude have made him a cornerstone. I have Kolby Branch here with me today. He transferred to Athens and immediately made his mark. He finished the 2024 season as one of the SEC's most productive hitters. He posted a .331 batting average, hit 17 home runs, drove in 53 runs with a .449 on-base percentage. And on top of all that, he started all 55 games, recorded 20 multi-hit games, and became one of the toughest outs in the conference. Defensively, Kolby, you brought versatility. You brought steady leadership to the infield, and your presence in the clubhouse has been described as the true glue, the kind of player who raises the standard for everyone around him. But what stands out most of all this is not just the stats, but it's the maturity, it's the mindset, and it's the leadership that you bring. And that's why we're especially excited to have him on the Make Your Remarkable podcast today. So, Kolby, take a minute. Welcome to the show. Glad you're here. Excited about it. Take a minute and talk about how you got interested in baseball to begin with. I started, I'm sure, at a young age, but how did you grow up enjoying the sport?
First of all, thank you for that intro. That was something else. I never heard something like that.
Well, you earned it all.
So basically, growing up, I've got three younger brothers, and so I started playing around 5, and my dad was a tennis player. So I picked up a ball and a bat, and he rolled with it. He was cool with it, and he started coaching me because he loves coaching. Sure. He doesn't know anything about baseball and how to coach that, but he loves coaching. He loves helping people, and that was his big deal. And so we started a team with him, and kind of rolled with that. They were called the NTX Eagles.
NTX Eagles.
Back in the day. And so they ended up growing it to like 15 programs or 15 teams, and all my brothers started playing for them. And it was kind of a cool deal, but so
that's cool.
Big baseball family.
Yeah. So I'm sure you were recruited by several universities, great ball player.
I would say definitely in the portal, the down-to-earthness of Wes and the identity of Coggin and Brock Bennett, all those coaches make the big difference to me. And the identity of the program and what they plan to do and the people that you have around you, that says more to me than a facility, what your history is. I think a lot about the people, and Wes is one of the greatest people, I think, in my mind, in the country. And so I
had an opportunity to interview Coach Wes Johnson on this podcast, and he's spoken to our bank team a couple of times now, and I've been so impressed with him, so impressed with his desire to study leadership, and that shows. But I've heard a number of people say, in fact, I think it was even on one of the networks as I was watching a professional baseball game, and one of the major league players, I forget who it was, but said they chose to come because Coach Johnson's development and the focus that he places on developing people, which we're real big on here at OSB, is we feel like if we are going to succeed, our leaders have to invest and develop people. And it sounds like that's a big reason why you came. Culture of development, of care. Like you say, you can go buy big facilities, nice facilities and all that, but at the end of the day, it stops there, right?
So, we walk in and we're talking about, playing pro ball, taking the next step. And part of the deal is if you win, winners get paid more, and so if you want to go play pro ball and be selfish and do that and be that kind of teammate, well, cool, just go out there and help us win, and then you get to get your better shot if that's how we want to do this. So he's good at motivating people like that are solely driven on themselves and getting to the next step. He's good at taking those guys and making them better and telling them we can win and add that. So part of that identity is Wes and making his mark on the team, on people that have come before him, people that are now going into pro ball, all the people. What do we have? 11 drafted last year, I think.
Oh yeah.
And so Wes has a big part in that.
Yeah. Well, I watched you play this past season a lot. I went to 12, 13 ball games, and really was impressed with you. And what was really interesting about it, I got a good friend of mine. His name's David Branch. He has a son named Kolby.
Oh, really?
So it was like, and it spells it the same way, right here in Oconee County.
I can't believe I haven't met him yet.
So but he's young. I mean, he's a kid. He's 8 or 9. I forget how old he is now, but young kid. And so that always reminded me. I texted my friend David and said, "Here's your future son, out here playing." He said, "I hope so." He said, that would be great. So talk a little bit about as we think about your success. Success just doesn't happen. We talked about this with Coach Johnson a lot and the preparation for it, but talk about preparing mentally, preparing physically. How do you do that and stay consistent at the level that you're playing now with all the other demands, schoolwork and outside demands and that sort of thing? Talk about your mindset.
I would say having a routine, being able to get up in the morning and go and complete the tasks that you're just given. First of all, just being able to show up and do the things. That's number one. And then also the off days. There's a big proponent in that. You get an extra day or two to get ahead of people. You can get things in that way, and then obviously by what you eat, what you put in your body is good.
Yep.
And then in your brain is the most important part. How you prepare physically, what you tell yourself. If you tell yourself you're terrible, you're probably going to be terrible. If you tell yourself you're going to be good, you've got a better shot at being good. And so just constantly working on your brain and telling yourself that you're good enough. You're a man. You're ready to go. And that's the biggest deal.
Yeah,
just working on the mental.
and putting the effort in. I know that Coach Johnson used the phrase. It had something to do with hard work is not a skill, I believe he said.
He said he can go find a Walmart greeter to go do the hard work.
Yeah.
Going up is a Walmart greeter can do that.
You just hard work is expected. It's expected. I also heard, I was talking to Coach Kirby Smart recently, and he said, I asked him what legacy he'd like to leave. And he said that one of the things that he wants his players to know that hard work works. In other words, it's part of what you got to do. Obviously, just showing up is huge. But if you show up every day and give it everything you have and keep that discipline, it works and it pays off. And I'm sure that has a lot to do with your mindset.
Yeah, of course.
You're known as a leader in the clubhouse. How do you define leadership as a baseball player inside the program?
Yeah, honestly, I've gotten better at it as the years have gone on. Coming in as a sophomore, it was a little bit hard to get your word out, and I got my word out plenty because as being a starter, you can kind of say whatever you want, but I've grown to be more out of my shell, grow to take in more friends instead of being closed off with 2 or 3. Try to have more friends. Go talk to somebody that you don't normally talk to. Go out of your way to go have a 15-minute conversation with somebody. I think that's important, and that's what I've learned. Really just taking in other people, asking them how they're doing, making it about them. Yeah, that's a big part in leadership for me because they want to play for somebody that knows that they care about them. Yes. And
intentionality, and not selfishness. Servant leadership, really. Right, serving others, and you don't have to boast on yourself when you go out there and you hit whatever it was you batted this past year, 300 and something. I mean, that those stats show on the field, and it makes turning your focus to others and caring about them even more powerful when you're showing those kind of statistics on the field. Culture. I know you guys have an incredible culture. I watched you play this year, like I said, a good bit, and one of the things that stood out to me was just the camaraderie and the even when you were down, the level of engagement of the team. There was just a team spirit inside the dugout. I could just tell there's a cultural difference in this team and in teams I've watched in the past. What does a winning culture look like to you? Not just obviously winning games, which is obviously very important while you're there, but the culture of the team. What does a winning culture look like?
I would say, I would say, look at your off days and see what's going on in the facility, see if it's important. I think a lot of people find that if it's important, it gets done. And if you make important days every day of the week, you got one off day a week, let's say. So you make that day important. You get 50 important days. And then, competition is another big thing that we focus on. I mean, we got 20 transfers that come in. And so competition is huge, and at every spot there's a competition, whether you like it or not. And there's a competition everywhere. And as long as you have that, people will work and people will want to go out there and win and want to take care of business. And I think that's the culture that we got.
Yeah. I think you're right on that. It's everybody buying into that, and everybody believing in that. You still get nervous out there when you're in the batter's box?
I get nervous here and there. It's mostly before the games.
Yeah.
I get the little, the butterflies before the game, and that's mostly every game, no matter, just because I'm so excited to get out there and play.
Does the 2-3 counts get in your head?
The 3, no.
Or 3-2 counns? Yeah.
They don't, because honestly, I'd feel better because I'm already in it. I've been in it for 6 pitches, and I've failed so many times.
I've often wondered how I would feel. It's 3-2, and it's game's on the line. But
it's funny when you've been failing over and over and over for so long.
Yeah,
you just become almost numb to it.
Yeah.
And then the success is where it's fun.
And that's the thing about baseball. It's a game of failure. I mean, people talk about it a lot. I mean, it's obviously a game of success when you play like you guys have played, but it's made up of a lot of failure. And I think that's many times what we miss in business is that you got to really be willing to do some hard things and fail at those hard things to get better.
Right.
And I think so often, even leaders and those who are listening, who may be leaders, business leaders, or trying to hit a sales goal, whatever it may be, really set the standard high and not be afraid to fall short, because when you get used to that, like you said, become somewhat numb to it, to say, you know what this feels like, and it kind of takes it out of your head, and that leads to success. It's really ironic how that can occur. Speaking of that, failure and such is handling adversity.
Yeah.
I know that every sports team, there is not a season that adversity doesn't come in some form. It could be something going on personally. It could be something on the field. It could be the chemistry of the team, could be a slump of some sort. And I know momentum swings are probably, there's highs and lows. How does a leader, in your opinion, respond during those times? And what have you learned about leading through adversity?
I would say that, I haven't been the most vocal. And so how do I do it without being vocal is if people look at you and they say, well, this is a trying time. Let's see what he's doing. And I'm sitting here and it's just like this. I do feel like that's important. And when people can see you at the worst, be cool, and at the best, be just, be cool as well. There's an aspect of where people want, when it's going good, they want to be the fun guy, and that's cool. And I like that. And there's times where I lose friends because of that. But also in the trying times, I do think it's important to stay even keel as much as possible.
Yeah.
Because people are looking at you and they want to be just like you. And if they see you freaking out, that becomes
It has an impact.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone once told me things are never as good as you think they are, but things are never as bad as you
True.
think they are either. So keeping that right mental mindset. And when you're successful and you know how to do something,
Right.
it's really just a matter of staying focused and
Yeah.
disciplined and going back to the basics. And it tends to work out.
Anytime I'm in a trying time, it's like my dad will call me. He'll say, it ain't leukemia.
That's right.
There's people that are struggling
Yes.
so hard, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then in the good times, I think I was reading a book, and it's talking about Marcus Aurelius.
Yes.
And he was saying how he's walking through the streets of Rome, and he's got his right hand man.
Yep.
And he's saying, I'm just a man, or you're just a man.
Yeah.
Just telling, because he's the most powerful man in the world.
Yes.
And he's got to be reminded that he's just a man. It's not that big of a deal.
Yep.
And I think that's important.
Take a deep breath. That's exactly right.
Playing sports is it's awesome, but you're not that big a deal.
Yeah.
And so
right.
it's cool
Yeah.
for a little bit,
Yep.
but you always got to remind yourself that it's not.
That's really great advice, and not let it define who you are either.
Right.
I think if you allow whatever it is, success, define the person you are, you're in for a letdown at some point, because you're not going to play baseball when you're 50. Hopefully you go on to the majors and do some great things and all that, and that'd be wonderful. But I mean, you've seen it. The injuries can take someone out, or something more critical. And if you put all your
eggs in one basket.
Yeah, or if you put all your self-worth in the performance on the field, it can have a major impact, not only on your performance, but also your life and mindset and everything else down the road. Talk a little bit about one of our values here at the bank. Is collaboration. We have 7 values. Collaboration is one of those values, which is working together as a team, collaborating. How have you seen collaboration in the clubhouse there, since you've been playing ball here, impact the success of the team?
Yeah. I mean, when you bring people together and you have a common goal, I think that collaboration, everybody wants the same thing. And so when you have the same thing that you're working towards, I think that everybody will find a piece of the pie at some point. It might take, a couple months, but everybody's going to find their piece of the pie. And if everybody's willing enough, they'll take a small enough piece and everybody gets a bite, and then, the cake gets eaten.
Yeah.
And so hopefully that's how that works.
Yep.
But with collaboration, you have to be able to work with people.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to accept people's failures and successes and roll with the punches. And there's so much that goes on. But just being able to show up every day and show people that you care, I think that's the most important thing.
As collaborative as baseball is, from the standpoint of, you got, a right fielder has a whole different skill set than a catcher, but everybody has to play together. It's still, in some ways, many ways, very individual, because you got individual statistics, and it's probably somewhat easy to become detached from the team and just focus on your position and your batting average, and make it about you as an individual. And I'm sure there's probably been times when teammates they don't necessarily get along with each other, or there's one person thinks, well, he's got a big ego, or whatever the case may be. How do you work through times like that when you got a group of athletes who even if you don't start, you wouldn't be there if it weren't for high skill, a lot of hard work, talent. You get everybody like that together to foster collaboration sometimes has to be difficult, particularly if you've got 2 or 3 people that just don't get along, you know. So how do you work through that?
You sit there and you understand who the human being is, and you know that winning is not loyal, and treat everybody with the same amount of respect as you do with everybody else. And there'll be definitely people along the way that are a little bit crazy and out of their way, and they only care about the big leagues, or they only care about their stats. And I think the way you do that is you kind of embrace it. That's who they are, and I don't think they're willing to change. So if they're not willing to change, then you celebrate them and all their successes. Make them feel like the man. And they're the man. Then they become the man, and sometimes those are the best players that nobody realizes. From the outside looking in, they think that they're the the best teammate, but really they're not.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you can't get people to work like that. And then you have to embrace.
Yeah. Just because you play together on the field doesn't mean you have to have Thanksgiving lunch together, right?
Right.
It's you don't have to be best of friends, but you've got
you can make it work for 3 hours.
Yeah,
out of your day.
Yeah, you gotta work together, because otherwise, if you don't work together on the field, that's a problem, right? It's a culture killer.
Mm-hmm.
It'll tear you apart if that's not put in place. So, Kolby, on the Make You Remarkable podcast, this is really kind of encapsulates our mission statement as a bank, which is to create remarkable experiences that significantly mark the lives of others. We don't want it to be about us. We don't want to shine the spotlight on who we are. We want our customers, our team, other people, our vendors, our shareholders, they're the hero of the story, not us. When you think about making your remarkable and the mark that you want to leave behind, what does that look like?
Yeah, I would say being somebody that people respect. And at the end of the day, respect is what everybody's looking for. I think it's the most important thing. And if I'm not liked and I'm respected, I think that that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, respect would be the biggest deal. And I think that word in itself says a lot. And it's kind of who you are. And if you're either respected or you're not. And it's an either or. And so respect would be the biggest deal that I would say.
That's the mark that you want to leave. Yeah,
I would say.
I like that because so many people, you're right, they go through life wanting to be liked. And that's not necessarily what you want, because that might mean that you haven't told people the truth. I've heard before, leaders who really want to lead well, they want to be respected because they have to have sometimes hard conversations with people and tell them the truth. And that's the kindest thing that you can do to someone, is tell them the truth. And sometimes they don't necessarily like you for that, but in the end, I'm sure they have a deep respect.
The honesty,
and you've helped them when you do that. So,
and then I think also if you're honest to them, they come to you about things that they want to hear about. If your opinion,
they trust you,
and they trust you, and they think that you're not going to lie to them. If I'd say, "Hey man, your jacket looks great today," and I tell you how your shirt looks great, and you'll never ask me if your shirt actually looks good, because I'm going to say it looks good.
Yeah.
If I'm honest and I say, "Man, it doesn't look great," you're going to be like, "Well, I might need his opinion more often, because I might, And so,
and when you love somebody and care about someone, it's like my wife tells me, I walk out of the house sometimes, don't wear that. That does not look good.
Yeah.
But I know she's not being mean.
Right.
She cares, right? So when you're honest and care, and you have a deep respect for that. So I like that. Leaving your mark by creating respect for those around you.
I think one other thing would be a present I got from my dad. It was just a wooden carve out. It said, "I care," and it was like. It was cool that's what we grew up on. Me and my brothers, I care, care. And just show up and care. That's 80% of the battle.
We talk a lot at our bank about love, and not the romantic type of love, but the love that's agape love that is transcends. It's the type of love that is about not a feeling but an action, and that's what care is. It's about how you treat other people, the intentions by which you treat other people, and not just and to think more deeply before you make decisions or say things, and that truly shows that you care. And people love working for organizations that care about others. If they think you don't care, they don't want to work there, and that's really big. So tell me, as we kind of close out, what kind of year you think you guys are going to have this coming up season?
I'm excited.
Yeah.
And the pitching staff has greatly improved from what we had the past 2 years and what I've been a part of. And I think that side of the ball, I think we're going to be really good. I think we've got a full weekend rotation, people waiting to get in the weekend rotation. bullpen arms, closers, people for all different types of roles. I'm really excited about the pitching staff. I think they're going to dominate.
That's awesome.
I think we've got really good arms and a plethora of arms. So
yeah.
I'm excited about that. And then the hitters, I think we've developed an identity of who we are in the home runs and the power, and being one of the best power hitting programs in the country. And I think that, at some point when you develop an identity, I think that it's pretty easy to follow that path. And I think we can do that again.
Yeah, you're building a great culture. I know that. And we talked a lot with Coach Johnson about that and the sustainability of that, and playing together and the collaboration we talked about. And I'm excited about watching you guys again this coming up season. It's a lot of fun and that kind of thing. If people want to connect with Kolby on social or whatever, how do they do that? Yeah,
it's just Kolby Branch on Instagram. I think Twitter's the same thing, Kolby Branch. And so, yeah.
Yep. Well,
short and simple, right?
Short and simple. So as we close, one last question. What's your favorite Major League Baseball team?
The Rangers. I mean,
the Texas Rangers.
I grew up with the Rangers when they won the World Series these past, 23, I think. That was a super fun time, and we really enjoyed that. But being in Atlanta, you kind of grow to be a little bit of a Braves guy.
Yeah.
All your friends are Braves people, and it's cool going to the games. I've gone to 3 or 4 of them, and they're pretty fun.
Yeah, that's great. Great atmosphere and a lot of fun to go to. I've always been a Braves fan. I grew up a Braves fan, and just been here all my life. But who knows? One of these days, listeners, we may be talking to a guy who's wearing a Texas Rangers uniform, or maybe even an Atlanta Braves uniform. Yeah. So may be the case. But Kolby, it's been great to have you. Yeah. Thank you for being here today and on the podcast. And of
course,
I look forward to talking to you soon and watching you play this coming season.
Yeah, good deal. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks for joining us on this week's episode of Make Your Remarkable. If you enjoyed the conversation, leave us a review, share it with a friend, or follow us on social media at Oconee State Bank and at remarkable_mortgage for more remarkable insights. And remember, at the heart of every journey, it's not about the process. It's about the purpose you're building, one bold step at a time. Until next time, keep making your remarkable.